Now, I'd like to start up with a popular saying. To reach a port, we must sail, sometimes with the wind and sometimes against it. But we must not drift or lie at anchor. Ekayana is a Sanskrit word which means one path or one vehicle. The focus of our annual corporate event, Ekayana, the power of one, is to channelize the individual energy into an event which provides a platform for true knowledge sharing. We refer the event as one path and our institutional energy as one vehicle. This annual event revolves around the theme that enables wisdom exchange on different aspects of management.
The theme of the year is Hawkeye View, Symptoms and Solutions, wherein we'll discuss the various challenges faced by the business environment and complexities of changing business world. The easiest mechanism to understand is knowledge management. We intend to make it a fruitful and effective platform for wisdom sharing.
Now I'd like to introduce our first guest speaker, Mr. Ravindra Utgekar, Head of Marketing, Suzlon. Mr. Ravindra Utgekar heads International Business Unit in Suzlon Energy Limited. His professional background includes 19 years of field and corporate experience in product as well as project business in the international and domestic environment. He specializes in sales, marketing and business development, though of late his role is more of a general management to a corporate level.
On the academic front, he holds a bachelor degree in electronics and telecommunication engineering and postgraduate degree masters in management sciences, both from Pune University. He has also successfully completed an executive program, GAMPRO 2007, at Account Management Center at University of St. Gallen, Switzerland.
Do you know, in 1991, Nokia was in the 11th position and Motorola was the undisputed leader. And now, why is that so?
It's because sometimes some marketing strategies may click and some other time it may not. If you remember the ICC 2020 World Cup, the first World Cup, do you remember which strategy clicked the most?
How can I forget Zuzus?
That's what. Some marketing strategies click a lot and some marketing strategies fail. But that doesn't mean the marketing strategies and the marketers do not make strategies. Let's hear something more about different winning business strategies and marketing strategies by Mr. Ravindra Utgekar. Sir,
please,
I call you upon one dais to share your...
We were just discussing with Mr. Deshpande and he was saying that we'll come up with a new car. And when they come up with a new car, then people are going to ask him, okay, you had this car now, what is next? What is next? Where are the opportunities? In the automobile segment, there was nothing called as luxury hatchback, right? Till about 2, 3, 4 years back. Suddenly, the position was carved. And everybody wants to get into that position because the margins are tit-skit in automobile companies, automobile and airlines. Living all the time or surviving by thread because they are iconic companies, Ford and General Motors, hundreds of years old. How much money they make after all the global presence and all the iconic brands and all that. Constantly they have to pump in money to stay ahead of the game. Because the game changes within no time. If the electrical vehicles, EVs, and we know many of the models, Prius and Leaf and Volt and all those battery operated cars which is a reality in Western world today, it will sooner than later come here. So the game will change. And again I go back to this automobile example. When UK has decided to introduce a carbon tax, which means the vehicles which emit more than a threshold of CO2 will have to pay extra tax. Who as a vehicle owner would like to pay the tax? Nobody. That means you have to buy a product which is consistent or conforming to that norm, which is going to come. We have this Bharat 1, Bharat 2, Euro 1, Euro 2, the game is up every time. And what happens there will come here. Can you see it early? Can you gear up yourself? If you don't, it will be too late by the time you change and get into that segment. Happens to many companies. Look around for examples. You keep going and lastly the threats. There will be always threat, There will be always companies trying to come with more money back, with more muscle power, with more political connection, with more, you always see that there are, and threat is something which is always there for anybody, any business. whether it is a takeover, whether it is a threat of takeover, mergers, acquisitions, whether it is of any competitor coming zooming past you. You will all the time watch for what are the possible threats to us. Is it something to do with the policy? If supposing there comes a policy which bars away some of the vehicles from even conforming to the pollution norm, what happens to that industry? What happens to that company? Wiped out. And it has happened so many times in the past. We are all moving to paperless machines, office automation, many of the businesses which we were minting once upon a time, Xeroxes, photocopies, who does it these days? Everybody wants to promote paperless things. Look at what it will mean to your business. What are the possible threats, whether it is from policy, whether it is from country risk, whether it is from WTO regulations, whether it is money, whether it is whatever. Just be aware. Okay. I think pretty straightforward. How do you do it? You analyze, you assess, you synthesize, you see what it means to you, and important thing is lay up an action plan. That's very critical. The next piece I'm going to talk to you is a little bit high end, but I think you better start getting there big time. Porter's 5 forces. Again, this is perhaps no time to teach it. It's a fantastic discussion. But it's the way, one of the tools that was invented by Michael Porter way back in the late 70s. And that's used consistently by the best companies. And this tool is again a strategy tool. By the way, these tools or the computers or anything about the equipments is there as good as you can use them. Doesn't mean you are doing Michael Porter's 5 forces, your strategy will be cutting edge. It's what goes in, so input, a big black box of processes and output. If input is poor, then the best of the processes will give you poor output. If the best input but poor processing will still have a mediocre output. So even if you are using tools, they don't guarantee anything. Yeah? So what are the five forces? And here they are. And think of this very carefully, that threat of entry of new competitors, competitor rivalry, intense substitute products, bargaining power of customers and suppliers. We are going to look at them one by one. So basically, who is that new entrant? Can he get into my business very easily? Can he get into my sector very easily? Or does it require deep pockets? Does it require huge infrastructure build-up? Are the sunk costs, meaning the cost investments are far too much in plants, machinery, whatever, Is it very difficult to pull customers away? These are some of the entry barriers. So from your business standpoint, as long as you are able to create handsome barriers for entry of new player, you are good. But the thing is, you got to do that. It's very important. The concept is slightly not that easy to understand. I just want you to read through for a minute and tell me whether you can follow it. Anything that you don't understand, please raise your hand and tell me. We are good? You're okay?
Yes, sir.
Very good. So remember, you need to create invisible entry barriers to protect your business. That's the message out here. Your exit should be easy. Means you decide to get out of the business, it should not be that difficult. But you should make it definitely tough for new people to get in. Yeah? There are many examples of this. Competitive rivalry. Again, I go back to this airlines and automobile example. Extremely fierce competition. Millions of rupees and dollars are sunk in advertising. Millions of dollars, in changing the rules of the game. So is the rivalry intense? If it is intense, your business strategies will have to be thought through. Is it a near monopolistic situation, or is it a situation where you have a lot of people with fierce price pressures? Are you constantly being demanded of new service, new feature in your product? So think about how competition is upping the game. If the rivalry is intense, that much is emphasis and focus has to be given in differentiating on price, service, marketing, brand, platforms. Okay? The next one. Are there any substitute products coming? We talked about typewriters to computers, pagers to mobiles, and normal two-stroke automobiles to 4, petrol to diesel. But these are very linear examples. Can there be substitute products? For example, I can talk for Suzlon. We make wind energy. Wind energy is the most promising source of renewable energy. Indeed, there are other renewable energies like solar, tidal, geothermal, so on and so forth, biogas, fuel cells. So how much threat do I perceive from the substitutes? Today, if it is renewable energy, it has to be wind on a commercial scale I am talking. But can it continue to be so? Can solar quickly catch up? Is it going to be price-wise competitive? These are the things we got to think through, right? I think our mayor just cleared a proposal for, I think, ring rail or whatever for Pune, right? Metro rail, which is going to change the game, the way mass transportation happens in this city today. So if you are thinking of opening up a transportation business with private buses, because that sector may also get privatized and so many things, but once the metro rail comes, the game will be different. So is there a threat to your business? Will there alternate transportation means available? You have to think of that a lot, right? A nice example I can think of, everywhere in America, you see the automobile industry has prospered like anything. I mean, most of the iconic companies are from US. And you will generally see that actually one corner, east coast to west coast of US or south to north, you can actually travel without hitting even a one red stop, one signal, which is so easy, so nice, because the automobile companies influence the politicians and senates so much that fantastic roads and infrastructure was created. So even if they have a railway called Amtrak, nobody ever talks about it. It never took off. Can, in our country, we can think of automobile as substitute for railways? Impossible. Or anywhere else for that matter, because the kind of traffic, railways, transportation they do. So what I'm trying to say is, if you are in the transport, and then again, same thing about planes. So can you imagine the planes traffic is competing with the motor traffic in US? You know, how, if I book, and again I give that Southwest Airlines example, that one of the reasons for their success is you can book their ticket online perhaps 6 months in advance. How? Because they hedge their prices against the spikes in the fuel, aviation fuel or crude oil and so on and so forth. So if I buy 3, 4, 6 months in advance the ticket, which comes dirt cheap, so I'm actually competing with the road transport there. So you always need to think what is the substitute product threats, what it means to your business. Yeah? So please understand, the product may not come within your industry, it may be outside to industry, it can still affect your business. Very important to digest this. So if that product becomes available, how will you survive? How will you sustain? How will you grow? How will you maintain your market share? How will you maintain your profitability? People, so on and so forth. And then this is also very important, customers' bargaining power. I gave you example of Walmart and at Abhishek Textiles or whatever. If the customers have tremendous bargaining power, then there is very little you can do about it. So is your business heavily driven by what customers say? Just think through. And there will be so many examples of this. Yeah. So if the customers have bigger muscle power, bigger money power, bigger political power, then you are not going to be able to leverage your technology or USP so much. Some of the sectors, and we are doing electricity deregulation gradually in some of the big cities it is happening. But bulk of the places it is still regulated sector. Transmission, distribution, retailing. So if it is a regulated sector, the government decides price. What leeway do you have? No matter you put 100